Okay, so less sporting events means more frustration, particularly if you've got a limited amount of time for your Betfair trading. And given the current situation, that problem's been made a lot worse. So I want to give you the best solution that I can come up with at this point in time, which is exactly what I used to do myself before I went full-time as a Betfair trader. In fact, it reminds me of when I was first learning to trade. It was something that I would do of an evening because in the day I had a normal job. And I would typically get home only for the last couple of horse races. The solution is to use the massive amount of greyhounds markets that are nearly always on and currently will be being run behind closed doors. They're a great way to understand how the market functions. It's almost accelerated at points, as you'll see in a second. I'm going to go through and trade 5 or so races, one after the other, and share my thoughts as we go. So I'm sure there'll be some valuable insight to learn from this one. Okay, so the first thing to say, this is not a dick swinging exercise or an opportunity for me to sit here and talk about how awesome I am. I want to actually show you something valuable on screen in the market. So I'm looking at a greyhound race here, the 8:29 at Yarmouth. It's currently in the formation phase where the market starts to pick up and liquidity starts to come in. So at this point in time, the whole thing just isn't really tradable. There isn't really an opportunity, there's nothing standing out, and I'm just looking. So I'm looking at the favourite here because a little bit of money seems to be coming in on this runner. If that's going to be sustained, and also potentially the third favourite there, number 1 dog, not for catching. But at the moment, this is very important that we just take the information down that's available to us. So I'm looking at traded volumes, I'm looking at times to the start, I'm looking at the relationship between the different runners, and seeing how the whole thing just connects up and affects each other. Discipline is probably the most important trait at this point in time though. So many people try to trade something that isn't actually there, that isn't happening. You need an opportunity within the market. So I placed a small back bet in the market there at 3.0 for £10. And that's because it appears to be in this formation phase as though the market is going to contract a little on the favourite, though it's only 10 quid. We can get out for that very, very easily. You can see a nice little chunk just come in there, which has made it more likely as though things are going to go in our favour. But as you will learn with greyhound markets, the whole thing can turn on its head very quickly. And that can happen in horse racing markets too. It's just the fact that because there's limited liquidity in greyhound markets, it's more likely and it happens a little bit quicker, which will typically make you a better trader if you learn to trade a greyhound market and it's very thin like this when it comes to trading a horse racing market, where it can make you a little bit more decisive at the very least. So the money's continued to flow in there, but you know, in all honesty, there's just not enough pressure in terms of the back money at this point in time on this favourite. The third's taken a little bit of money, the second has kind of started to build a little bit of resistance within the market, and the whole thing isn't presenting the biggest opportunity, if I'm quite honest with you. There's a lot of indecision and there's only 20 seconds down to post. Now you'll see this is the most active period of time before the start of the race, and it started to go there on the favourite. We've got a couple of bets matched, leaving the bets in an opportunist position. And you know, the last 20 seconds you see that, in fact that 15-second segment, the market has moved very quickly, and so that was the opportunity. But in reality is in this situation, we weren't matched, we weren't right. If that had happened when we had the open position, it would have been great. But that'll do for the first race. We'll do a few more, so we'll move straight on to the next race. This is race 2, we'll see if this is a little bit better. There's plenty of time down to the starters yet, so I'm going to fast forward this recording, saving you sitting here and listening to me to prattle on for 7 minutes. So back to race 2, let's see if this one is any better. And this is exactly what I used to do in that spare time in the evenings, and I think it's very important because it teaches you so much about the dynamics of the market. Now, I don't particularly like the look of this one on first glance, and I'll give you my reasons for it. The first reason being the favourite is very short. Now, do I like trading back positions into lay positions and the price contracting when it's down at 1.7 or smaller? And the answer is not really. That's not really something that I'm into. So typically I'll look for a lay position elsewhere in the market, particularly if it looks like the favourite is going to be backed, as it does at this point in time. So speculative £10 lay position in there at 6.6 on the third. It's a little bit early because 3 minutes before the start of the race in greyhounds is still that formation phase, and that can change a little bit, as you'll see with a couple of these different races. There's a bit more liquidity in some of these situations. Number one, that's because there's a short price runner in this race, the short price favourite, sorry. And also number two is the different coverage. So Racing Post, Greyhounds TV adds extra liquidity to some of the markets. So I don't like the look of that short price favourite. I'm trying to trade the third favourite here. We've got a little scalp through the market there just for one tick on 10 quid. Gives us a total of about 25 pence. Nothing to scream and shout about. But this isn't really about, like I said at the beginning, it isn't about making loads of money. It's about putting yourself in the right position, just going through the motions and understanding the dynamics of the market. So at this point in time, watching it back, because this is afterwards, I've recorded the audio, it looks like I'm kind of trying to force something that isn't really there, which is a common mistake. It's something that people do regularly when learning to trade Betfair. So a little bit of my own criticism there, put me in 1 pence loss, and we don't mind a loss either, because it's all about playing percentages in the market rather than trying to have, you know, the short-term get-rich-quick winner constantly. But I'm currently, you know, I'm trying to find a position in the market, probably because I know that the screen's being recorded and I don't, you know, I want to deliver something for you guys, but the reality is there's not really an opportunity here for me. So the best thing to do is not trade, which is something that I go on a lot about, but typically falls on deaf ears, and it's quite easy to understand why, I think. What I would say is, even now, watching this back, is I'm very conscious of myself in the market, which is a very important trait, which I think, you know, similarly to what I'm saying about overtrading, is overlooked. So a couple more speculative lay positions in the market there, 6.8, 6.6, and you know, if they get filled by a spike that comes in, I'm going to trade out straight away. I haven't got a strong feeling that this is going to go a massive drift. This is not swing trading in any sense. This is just a case of being in the right place at the right time, get filled, scooping up a few pennies, because trading can often be like that, scooping up a few pennies, putting yourself in the right place, and eventually letting the probability do the work for you, and it comes to you to make the profit. But what I was saying, just going back there, is I'm very conscious of what I'm doing, how I'm feeling in the market, and you absolutely need that if you're going to trade to any kind of level substantially. So going back to the market, look, we've got a short price favourite which isn't really contracting, it's certainly not drifting by the looks of things. The second favourite there is bouncing around too. The third, there's been a little flurry at points intermittently, but nothing to get excited about. And the fourth is just a long shot. There's very low liquidity, and I wouldn't really want to be getting involved on that unless I thought it was going to kind of like double in price or something crazy like that. So 10 seconds down to the start, that's the end of race 2. Again, critiquing it against myself, probably done the right thing, possibly didn't need to place a couple of those trades. Very conscious is a positive thing whilst trading. But 24 pence on the second race. So let's move over to race 3. So next race, Doncaster. We've come into this one, just changed on the side there as you've seen, and you know, there's 30 seconds to start. There's no liquidity. There's a total of £11,000 matched on this entire market. It's already been matched. The market isn't that active. I've got 30 seconds to trade it, and so I think I decide very quickly. Again, another short price favourite. I don't really like them. Just skip it out. One to skip out. On to the third race. Race 3, and I can tell already that this is likely to be, I'm not saying it will be, it's likely to be a better situation to trade. Why is that? We've got a few runners around about similar prices, shorter range but not odds on heavily, and you know, we've got a little bit of build up time, so we've got that liquidity forming phase to come as yet. In fact, it's sort of kind of starting to happen now. You can expect it typically on greyhounds around about 3 minutes. So at this point in time, I'm just interested in finding the opportunity so I can fit in with the situation. Now, is the favourite going to be backed? Is the favourite going to drift? Currently it's drifted out a little bit. There's not really any substantial backing on the other runners at this point in time. There was a large chunk matched at 6.0 on the second, the 5 dog. At 6, nothing's really happening, and again, the 1 dog is a slightly larger price, no real matching at this point in time. So what do? Sit here and wait, because you've got to wait for the liquidity to come in the market. Traded volumes, guys, is the most important thing that you're going to see in any kind of pre-race trading, whether it's greyhounds or dogs, or horses. or football pre-match even. So traded volumes is what I need. I'm just highlighting on the screen there. Look, you can put some speculatively well outside of the range if you like, and if you get a very opportunistic fill like 5 to 10 ticks away from where the current available is, there's a good chance you'll get that matched on the alternate side, although you don't want to overstake with that. If you overstake with that, then you'll chase yourself away from a position in the market where there's no money being matched. So switching up the ladder there, just to make sure we've got everything in picture, and it looks like the favourite's starting to drift here. I mean, typically it's moved already, small amount of money is matched, and this is where the interest will be building on this one. There's £500 stake at 4.3 holding the market on the second, and the third looks like there's a slight bias for more money coming into the market. So at this point in time I'm thinking, what's that £2,000 all about on 4.1? That's a bit strange. Is that going to be matched? Looks like it will. It's been dropped down there. And also, when it's matched, what is the impact on the market of that match? So it's a substantial bet going in the market, and I can tell you already, I feel like I want to go against this, but £2,000 is a lot of money, so I want to see it be dragged down and matched and still see the market push against it. If that happens, that's a very good sign, because a large stake has come in the market in a poorly liquid market, and so I place in a couple of potential exit positions if it disappears. There we go, it's dropped down, big match. And although a big stake has gone in against that resistance, the market's still drifting, so we're going to go with it. So I put a couple of lay stakes in the market there. I'm now looking at ladders 2 and 3 and 4, looking for confirming reasons or reasons to say that this won't actually happen, i.e. is there a drift forming on them for any reason, is there a lot of lay money coming in, or is there something supporting what our original opinion is with more back money coming in. And you can see just the cursor over there on the 6 dog, Sparrow King, looks like a little bit of flurry money's coming, so that's supporting our position. So we'll keep this trade open. That's happened very quickly there, clicked a few times, and we're onto a little bit more of a profit. It's not a bad profit for £10 a click on the stakes there. So mix up the ladders again. Now I'm constantly asking myself the same set of questions. Would you want to enter in this position in the alternate direction? Because if you do, you need to be getting out. What's happening elsewhere in the market, which is going to play with this position, because it's not just about the one dog that we're actually trading in this situation at all. And you see a spike's gone up there, we've got matched at favourable position, so we've got quite a bit of a move there. I can't quite remember the initial lay, it was maybe 3.7, and we've got out about 4.5 and I think 4.7 as well. So that's a good little move, and there's 15 seconds. Now, I'd like to carry on trading this, and you can see I've put a couple of potential exits in there, and I'm trying to get another one matched on the lay side, and I'll get another one through for a couple more ticks. But I'd like to carry on trading this because there's clear opportunity in this market. There is a bias, the market is being pushed, this favourite is drifting, although there's no time to trade it. So we've got a hedge up. So hedge up for £8 at post time there, just gone over a couple of seconds. And we move on to race 4. So race 4, it's another one at Yarmouth, and there's 2 minutes to the start. So the market's already in that formation phase, and you'll see already straight away, this is not as active, this is not as popular, this market. So what do we want to do? We want to look for where the crossover points, the 6s, the 3s, do we want to be laying at those sort of positions, a bit of natural resistance within the market? Do we want to leave money outside the prices? How do we want to approach this one? I'm just kind of weighing all this up in my head at this point in time. We've got a short frame of time to do it, so we actually need something to happen in the market for us to want to do that. Again, possibly forcing the trade a little bit here. Lay position there on the second. It's just above the 6, so I don't want to overstake, but potentially we can nick a few ticks because it's a decent little reward, return to risk rather, for laying £10 stake at 6.4. We can get 27p profit a tick if it goes through. This doesn't look that active, so it's turning me off looking back at it now, and I was aware it was turning me off at the time, but again, I wanted to kind of trade something for you guys. That's obviously a downfall of recording things sometimes. The benefit of actually mentioning this in the aftermatter as well is obviously a lot easier said than done at the time. But this is a bit of a nothing race. This isn't turning into anything. The one thing that is interesting is the third. There's a little bit of a flurry of money there. You see the traded volume bars at the top of the Geeks Toy software. You'll see on the sidebar the recently matched money denoted by the dark green bars, and so I've jumped in and just gone with that last minute flurry. Now we're ticking down to post time now, so we're cutting it fine. What you don't want to do on the dogs is trade past post time, because once the market's suspended there's no opportunity to get out and play. you'll be left with an open bet. You don't want to do that. So again, hedge up. Okay, look, we lost, what, 15 pence in this one. No great shakes considering we made more than 15 pence in all the others so far. But that's the end of race 4. Let's move on to race 5. Just a quick note to say, if you want to see bigger profits and more in-depth education and higher quality help, check out caanberry.com for horse racing video tutorials and explanations. So race 5, again, 3 minutes to start, because it's more active already. More money's being matched, there's a little bit of movement. Again, we've got those nice prices. There's no short price favourite on this one. There's a little bit of money pushing around here. This looks more exciting right from the start. So this is likely to be a better opportunity for me in terms of trading, which is great. This is also one of the benefits of trading greyhounds, is you realise what you prefer, what you like to see, what you do want to trade, what turns you on and what turns you off. And then when you know what turns you off, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. So the money's coming in a little bit here. On the 3rd, on the 1st, there's been a bit of a flurry. There's a large £600 lay, which leaves me a little bit, what's going on with that. I'm wondering. The large stakes can be a bit off-putting in the greyhound sometimes. You can't spend your whole life worrying about a large stake moving the market, but they do impact things a little bit more than elsewhere. Now, I'm suspecting that the price might turn a little here. This is the favourite, and there's kind of a bit of what I call sort of nothing activity bouncing around, pushing it out a little. And I'm being a little bit speculative. I mean, that might be a bit risky, but I've clicked on for the back there, and I'm trying to offset my position to manage my green zone and looking at what's happening elsewhere in the market. There is a little bit of resistance against that drift, which I'm trying to explain that favourite move there. There's a little bit of resistance against it drifting any further, which is why I've gone in for that tiny £10 stake. Hopefully it will turn with me. But I'm looking for where the money comes, because the money is the most important thing every single time, no matter what you're trading. So is this going to turn into opportunity? It looks like it could do. It looks like the favourite could contract at this point in time. Second and third are also having a little bit of a flurry. That little chunk on the second was interesting there. So there's a bit of competition. We've got the flip-flopping favourites here at the same prices, both at around about 5 to 2, 3.5 in the market. I'm going with the second one. So I'll go with the second one because of the last late minute flurry, and also the fact that the favourite has had an opportunity to turn there and it hasn't. Nothing's happened, no one's gone with it. There's been no more follow-up back money to the previous back matching, and so I jump on the backside of the second favourite because that's where the clearer flow of money is coming into the market. Again, offset the position very quickly just to make sure that we're nice and safe, and we're now riding some profit. So how far will this swing is the question. We've only got 45 seconds or so to do so, so it's not going to be a huge one unless I increase the stakes. There's not enough money flowing into the market for me to want to do that. Bearing in mind this is a greyhound market, they are a lot more skittish. It's more like trading a Irish race or a race at Southwell, something like that. So we go with it, hedge up there, 165 profit at the end of the day. And I'm thinking, look, do I lay this favourite now because it's failed to produce in terms of back money coming in? There's a crossover point at 4. And a little bit of a moment of indecision, really, if I'm honest. The third is actually friendless, and so that's why there's a couple of offered. Notice that I offered those positions in the market. I didn't take the actual price, and then I've just gone to scout the backside out very quickly there. I've offered because offering, basically every time you offer a bet, you give yourself a little bit more value. It's just one tick, but it's more value. Over the long term, you think, several trades a race, several races a day, per month, it ends up being a lot of trades. But that's the end of race 5. The profit could have been better, like I said, right at the start there. This was more a case of an exercise to show you that there is opportunity, there is still opportunity to learn, things to keep your eye on and realise how the market dynamics actually form and unfold without sort of panicking about having less racing fixtures and less of a dick swinging exercise, like I said at the beginning. If you found the video useful, please like the button down the bottom there and give it a thumbs up, drop us a comment, subscribe to the channel, let us know what you thought about this style of video, and if it's a positive response, we'll look at doing more in the potential future. But for now, make sure you watch one of the videos following the end screen on this channel.